Hey there, Jabik here. You know Diablo. It's that game about clicking on the enemies until a golden light shoots forth from their body. Behold, a pair of pants. Look at it. So many stats, so many effects. Well, I don't need none of that. I don't want it. I want things to stay simple. Simple. You ever been disappointed opening a chest and seeing a white item pop out? Well, guess what, buddy? One man's trash is another man's treasure. And I am that man. The Trash Man. I am going to beat Diablo 4 using nothing but common items. No blue, no yellow, and especially no orange. The hordes of hell shall shudder at the might of my simple dagger. The world will know the legend of my hide boots. Let us begin. Look at this. Character creation. Which class shall I choose for this challenge? I figured that, considering I'll be both squishy and underpowered, my best bet would be Necromancer. I'd cower in the corner while my skeletons would beat up my enemies. I also get lonely. I wanted some friends to join me on my adventure. Stranded in the mountains, I made my way to a small village that tasked me with clearing a dungeon, not far outside of town. So far so good. The demon was no match for my early game gear. Alas, I was betrayed into the hands of a handcart and force-fed Lilith's gamer girl bathwater, poisoning me with visions of her horny visage. Obviously, the whole town had to die. The search for Lilith had begun, sending me to Lorath's mountain cottage, who in turn led me to Kyovashad. The sin that burdened me was greed. I admit there was a part of me, although small, that hungered for magic items filled with all sorts of frivolous effects. But I burned that part of me away. Common items only. Reverend Mother Prava sent me to the mines at Yelesna, where I met a girl named Neyrel, who was looking for her mother, her mommy, her mama. Sadly though, she was seduced by Lilith's promises of Twitch donations beyond her wildest dreams. Thankfully, we were able to put her down before she bought a webcam and inflatable kiddie pool. That's the second story boss done for. Smooth sailing so far. I was then sent on a quest to carry some things to some things and listen to an audiobook along the way so that Daddy Inarius would give me his blessing. Next up, meeting Neyrel at the Heradric Vault, where I killed T'Chort with little effort. Things were going well. The game was pretty easy so far. Lilith's Lament went down in much the same manner, and Act 1 was done at level 14. Jumping into Act 2, I met Donan at Eldheim Keep and went to Karagar just for the heck of it, where I was promptly slaughtered by a level 20 goat man. This was my first death. Requiescat in pace. I hope that by some miracle I'd be able to say that this was my only death. I was young then, naive, full of hope. Amalgam of Rage Gestation defeated. Erida, Keeper of the Dead, defeated. Yoren, stabbed in the friggin' head with a demon. Requiescat in pace. Astaroth, summoned. He looks so rad, I'm kind of scared. I thought I was gonna die a few times, he was pretty tough, but I managed to squeeze through on my first try, and that's a wrap on Act 2. Minor gear upgrades were coming at a pretty steady pace. Pretty much every time a common item dropped, it was marginally better than the previous, and I didn't feel all that weak up to this point. I was level 21 though and still hadn't found a single common helmet. I wondered if they forgot to put them in the game. But I dreamed of the day I'd see a beautiful helmet drop, just for me. That dream drove me forward. I killed Genbar, the little scamp, and found myself at the Orbe Monastery, where I killed Eidolon without losing more than half of my health at any one point. Mother's Judgment, just the same. I wondered if maybe the game was too easy. I'd still only died once, and I was scared that maybe the YouTube strangers on the internet would be dissatisfied at the ease of this challenge. So, feeling pretty confident, I upped the world tier to 2. Hard mode, essentially, and it would turn out to be pretty hard. The next boss was Brawl, resident big guy in the Temple of the Primes. And this guy broke me. He's big, oh lord, he's big. On my first attempt, I got him down to half health, but the bosses in this game just love to summon hordes of minions. I couldn't do much besides run around and resummon my own minions, in the hopes that the enemy's numbers would be whittled down and maybe drop a potion or two, which did work out, but Brother Brawl's absolute worst move is this charge he does. You definitely have to be quick on the dodge button if you want to avoid it. You can see that I did press the dodge key, but a microsecond too late. Thus, I died for the second time. Thankfully, a new pair of boots dropped on the way back to the boss to console me, which boosted my confidence for my next attempt. Unfortunately, however, Brawl's charge move got me again. It slows down after it hits you too, meaning you're left open for a follow-up even if you survive the charge itself. I thought it might be time to rethink my strategy a bit, so I put Bone Spirit on my hotbar instead of Corpse Explosion. I figured I needed as many corpses as I could spare to keep summoning my skeletons, but my third attempt was my shortest yet. That charge move, man, it's killer! The next attempt I just wasn't paying enough attention. I was starting to get a bit frustrated now. I returned to town and upgraded all my equipment. A very, very slight improvement, but an improvement nonetheless that I hoped would tip the scales in my favor. I also went and farmed a couple levels and completed the level 25 quest to be able to summon a golem. Leveling didn't help me much though, because Brawl is programmed to be a couple levels higher than you no matter what. Because yeah, that's how an RPG is supposed to work. The golem is pretty powerful in this game, definitely quite tanky, and that's just what I needed. I made my way back through the Temple of the Primes and gave Brawl another go. I had a new strategy. Use corpse tendrils to group together and stun all of his minions, then deal group damage to them with Reap and Blight. I also switched my skeletons to Reapers, so I had more corpses to spare than ever, meaning I could resummon my skeletons as much as I needed. I did die though. My strategy needed more fine-tuning. Reap deals well with groups, but you have to get way too close to the enemy. Not good for a squishy guy like me. Bone Splinters also deals damage to multiple enemies, but I wasn't that impressed with it. Overall, Hemorrhage is the best choice by far because of the blood orbs that drop from using it, making up for my rapid guzzling of health potions. Blight was the real MVP though, allowing me to deal big damage to big groups over time, especially when my corpse tendrils would bunch them together. This was the winning combination, and Brawl finally fell on my 8th attempt. I was very happy. And then, as if a gift from the gods for overcoming my hardest trial yet, behold and lo, a helmet dropped. As pure and white as the driven snow. A strider's crown. Oh, it was beautiful. Finally a covering for my head. It would turn out to be the only common helmet that would drop for me for the duration of the entire game. But I was not lacking for gratitude that I had found one at all. My true objective was complete. Now it was just time to, do the rest of it. After chasing a goblino through the desert, I escorted Mashif and my beloved Isabella through harsh winds and faced Elias several times. I died once, but I got him pretty quick, and with that, Act 3 was completed. Act 4 would soon follow, as the only thing you need to do is get yourself a horse and kill Andariel. Wrong game. Got her on my first try and boom, Act 4 is over. Act 5 is exponentially longer. I looked at a coffin with Donan. Pretty cool. I died once to the witch Valfa, died again in the swamp, found myself a disgusting, despicable legendary item that I was loath to touch. Donan had a midlife crisis and then hit a thing with a thing. 2 disgusting, despicable legendary items dropped in the swamp. Ew, I hate that. I got stuck in this snake door. Left eye, right eye, open sesame. Molon the Snake Queen was pretty easy. I made my way through Snake Swamp and found the Tree of Whispers and was sent off to the coast where me and Lorath had to lend Neyrel a hand. From Software moment. I died in this dungeon in one hit to, you guess it, some big guy's charge attack. Dang, he's fast, a real prodigy. I got Elias's finger, gave it to Lorath, who threw it into the fire, pretty ungrateful if you ask me, and fought Elias for the last time. Insert joke about losing his head or something. Act 5 was over, and the final act had begun. I rode into the city of Chaldeum and escorted the cathedral's armies into hell. Here I am killing Uznu the Annihilator, and here I am killing Duriel. Wrong game. Into hell we go. It did not disappoint. The name fits. Boy, it was a slog. The game is a little inconsistent with how its rubber banding works. Rarely, if ever, will you fight common enemies that are lower than your level. They're usually equal. Bosses are mostly the same. Some bosses, like Brawl, will be a higher level than you no matter what. Hell stays the same though, as far as I'm aware. All enemies there are level 45. I was level 35 when I entered, and yeah, the difference in power is quite pronounced. I don't care who they send, I am not grinding 10 levels. I have a YouTube video to make. I died. A lot. There were a lot of enemies. There were a lot of strong enemies. They killed me very fast. But you know what? I trudged my way through. Hell's forces may be stronger than my simple dagger and hide gloves I got from this tortured soul for some reason, but they were not stronger than the human will. Death. 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 So many deaths. But that did not deter me. Ninsa, Blight of Hatred, killed me once. Karoom, Hound of Hatred, killed me twice. Ashava the Pestilent was a real pain in my behind. The boss fight was not helped by the fact the game's netcode completely broke down for some reason. I don't know why. I have good internet, but boy, it's sure fun to be teleported around the arena filled with pools of acid in a fight that requires precise dodging and positioning. This thing is definitely meant to be taken on as a full party, but it was just little old me and my jolly band of sketons. I was considering throwing in the towel for the night, but if I did, I'd have to fight my way through hell all over again, and I wasn't gonna do that. So I pushed my way through and killed Ashava on my 5th attempt. Next came the nightmares, and the game forced me to fight Brawl again. But this time while also fighting Genbar, and also being bombarded with, I don't know, something. I died twice to them. Then I had to fight Elias and Erida. They killed me 4 times. And then Astaroth. Boy, isn't this your favorite trope? Fighting all the bosses again right at the end because, wow, look how much more powerful you've become. Except I wasn't much more powerful, actually, and the boss was 9 levels higher than me. But I got him on my 4th try. The end was near. The Cathedral of Hatred stood before me. Mephisto was Mephisted into our shiny rock, and Lilith was pissed. The final boss. Ooh boy. Ooh boy. The developers really wanted to emphasize the fact this game is an MMO. You should not really be storming into hell all by your lonesome. This is like a raid boss. She's tanky as heck. And by this point, my common weapons and armor had long since lost their viability. I tried going full solo, ditched my golem and skeletons, and tried to fight her like a Dark Souls boss. That approach did not last long. I tried every approach in the book, respect a dozen times, but in the end, nothing was better than my initial strategy of using hemorrhage, blight, and corpse tendrils. That was the best build I could puzzle out, but I still couldn't get her down to 3/4 of her health bar. The hours flew by, attempt after attempt failed. I didn't care who they sent. I wasn't going to grind to level 45, but I did grind to level 41, which definitely helped, but it still wasn't enough. Surprise, surprise, the netcode was shot once again, sliding me all across the arena. Yet another layer to my agony. Dang, this boss is hard. The worst part is when she summons an inconceivable mass of demons that look just like her. Kiting them around isn't too hard, but she blends in so well that you can't pay enough attention to see what she's doing, which usually involved killing me in 1 hit. 22 attempts. That's how many it took for me to bite the bullet. I was stripped of pride at that point. I'd gotten all the way to hell with nothing but hide, boots, leather gloves, trusty helmet, and basic short sword by my side. But Lilith's mighty health bar barely budged no matter how hard my skeletons and I pummeled her. So after my 20-second death to Lilith, I did the thing. I turned the difficulty down to World Tier 1. I know. Hey, listen, I know, okay? But I was freaking tired. I've been playing basically all day at this point, and I figured there was 2 ways out. Either spend hours and hours grinding to level 45, or turn down the difficulty. Same result, making the fight winnable. Not easy, but winnable. But one of those options was a lot more time efficient. So I took the easy way out, World Tier 1. And then, finally, I beat her on my next attempt. Did I feel a little less impressive? Yeah. But hey man, I'm the YouTuber. I get to make the rules. And I say it's fine. So there. That was only her first phase though. If I had juggernauted my way through the first phase on World Tier 2 and found there was a second phase, I would have been pissed. Thankfully though, unlike some games, you don't have to beat the first phase to reattempt the second. After 2 more deaths, Lilith was defeated. And I had beat Diablo 4 using only common items. 20 hours, 64 deaths in total, 24 of which were from the final boss. The challenge was completed. Yes, it is possible. Demons, devils, spirits, and other countless monstrosities were felled by the fabled basic lover and his arsenal of extremely bland weapons. Just the way I like it. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video and want to see more like it, tell me. Stay tuned for other videos coming soon. I have another idea for a Diablo 4 challenge, and I might also just try and do this challenge in all the other Diablo games. So subscribe if you're interested. My name's Jabik. Hope we meet again.